on the shoulder of the person that you work with. So as a principal, I try to manage how vocally I share my views. Of course, I have very strong views, and I have my own opinions of how things should work, but I understand that extrapolations are a norm in our society. So to avoid such extrapolations, I keep my role as professional as possible, and my involvement in the protest was in supporting the work that the Council of the Law Society of Kenya was doing, and of course, under the leadership of the president. So I wouldn't say I was the number one agitator, but I supported it in a more strategic capacity in the role that I hold.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I'd like to come back to Nadia. What is your perception about civic engagement now that you have experienced police brutality, and according to you, you're protesting, it's your right? What is your perception about civic engagement after the entire police brutality?
Thank you. I believe so far we're doing well with regards educating ourselves and educating members of the society on how we can keep the people who are in these positions of power accountable and keeping the systems in check and whatnot. So civic education right now, I think, is moving in the direction that it was supposed to be moving in previously. It's better than it was before, I think also because of the incidents that we have had of people getting murdered, people getting maimed, injured, abducted like ourselves. So our society is moving in the right direction, I believe. We are moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Nadia. At this point, I would like to take a comment, not really a comment, but welcome @_Oduk, who's joining the conversation from X. If we could have him, please. Okay, so we're getting him through. So at this point in time, we're just opening the floor for Q&A. So if you have any questions, kindly jot it down and the person to whom you want the question directed to. So I'd like to ask Billy, perhaps, how do you think the victims of police brutality can get support, having gone through yourself police brutality?
I think most of us need like a psychological evaluation, because the moment I was released, the first thing was to switch off my phone, because I'm still paranoid at how they located me, how they even knew my house, my door. Like up to now, my phone is still off. I'm using a different line. And I haven't been staying at one place. I've been staying at different people's places, because I'm still afraid, because I think that they might come back for me. So if you know anybody that has been through what we have been through, the best you can do is be there for them, support them, talk to them, because I don't think any of them want to be alone at this time.
To you, Ernest, roping you back to the conversation from a law perspective, how do you think the demonstrations should be handled from the law perspective with those that are enforcing the law, that is the police, of course?
Well, of course, we have to understand that a democratic society is the number one sort of dream that our constitution envisions. And that is why we have very elaborate structures, institutions, and provisions on ensuring that the people can engage in a democratic manner and ascertain a democratic and fair and equal society. Now, we've all had the conversations that have been there about Article 37 and all the relevant constitutional provisions under the Bill of Rights with respect to participation of the people, how the people are supposed to engage. And the reality is the people of Kenya have come to an awakening that, hey, these are our rights, we gave them to ourselves, and it is upon ourselves to enjoy them. And this realization is simply because the people that have been entrusted with ascertaining the protections of these rights have failed. You look at the duty of the police under Article 244, they have to uphold constitutional standards of human rights, but is that what they do? You know, when baddies are walking with water bottles and their iPhones and simply trying to talk about what their rights are, and you tear gas them, it's very unfortunate, you know. Advocates trying to uphold the right to fair trial, going to police stations to represent people who, mind you, have been unlawfully arrested. Then you tear gas these lawyers, not caring for their health, not caring for their duty to the people. Then what kind of setup are you trying to put in place? We find ourselves in a situation where we stand at the risk of those in positions of power choosing when to suspend the Constitution and choosing when to adhere to it when it suits them. And therefore, it is a moment of awakening where we as the people of Kenya need to come together. We need to stand up to all the ills that have characterized our country historically and since the promulgation of the new constitution, and we need to appreciate that we have a wonderful constitution and it is upon us to make it work for ourselves, because our political leaders have not just failed, they have refused to implement it.
Thank you so much, Ernest. Nadia, just walk us through how this entire ordeal and experience has really changed in terms of how now you view life and everything else.
My life has changed so drastically in the span of 1 month, I cannot even tell you. As Billy said, we need a lot of psychosocial support. The anxiety, constantly having to look over your shoulder, constantly being scared that people are out to get you. I also haven't stayed in my house for more than 2 days at a go since this thing started. Just jumping from relative to relative, friend to friend. I stayed with my partner also for some time. So it's crazy. As I was telling my story right now, I could feel like a panic attack was coming on, because as I recount those events in my head, I feel like I'm back there. I feel like I'm going through that again. So,
Billy, on your end, how is it for you?
It's not simple, because you walk around, everybody knows you. From the news that you are missing, everybody wants to hear your side of the story. But at the same time, you are scared because, first of all, I didn't see those guys. I didn't see any of their faces. So in a way, I can't trust anyone. I'm a bit skeptic. And now my life isn't normal because my phone has to be constantly on flight mode, because I'm getting a lot of calls, relatives, they want to know how I am. So I always reach out to my mom so that she can at least tell them that I'm okay. But at the moment, I'm moving around constantly from house to house because I don't want to be found in my house again alone.
Thank you so much. Ernest, from your end, from the Law Society of Kenya, perhaps are you looking at ways in which you can be able to get justice for people like Nadia and Billy?
Well, I'd have to say that I wouldn't want to claim to speak for the Law Society of Kenya, but I would have to admit that it is important that those who are capable and are in positions to intervene do intervene. And of course, I appreciate my relationship with the Law Society, and being a victim myself, I think it is in order that the Law Society takes an active position in representing these people and, you know, finding redress. Because as they've shared, the experiences were not easy. evidently there are violations of constitutional rights, and there must be reparations. That is what we must agree as a people, we must agree as a society. There must be reparations, there must be consequences. So I would have to say that all the things that we have experienced should not go in vain. For instance, the day I was taken is the day I knew hot water tastes good. I ordinarily do not take hot water, but it was the only thing on offer, yeah? That was the day I was reminded of how it feels kupigwa kofi ya kisogo. I have not been hit on the backside of my head since I was 9 years old, and that's quite some time back. But those reminders came in, and it was a harrowing experience, but we have capacity. We have numbers, we have capability, we have courts that are not just prepared, but are required to make sure that justice is served. And I do believe that all the partners who have taken part in putting this together, the Citizen Assembly, will work as well to ensure that the necessary reparations are found for all the victims and all the families of those who lost their lives.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I don't know if the people here have any questions to our panelist. If we could have perhaps the mic going round. If you have any question, just raise up your hand so that we can have an interactive engagement for our panelists here. Yeah, floor manager, there is a question there from the gentleman, and then we can have the lady to my left, the gentleman to my right, the first. Thank you so much. You please state your name and your question, and to whom is it directed to?
Comrades Power. I don't have a question, I just would like to do something. Can I ask the three of you to stand up and turn around and face that side? I am used to giving instructions. I was in a school in a minute. Please stand up. Come as close to the edge without falling. Okay. Just look there, don't look back. Just be present. The rest of you stand up. I want you to imagine you are back there and all these people have your back. That in that moment you could not see them, but they were all calling for your release. That none of them forgot you for that moment. And in that sense, be present to the fact that when we take a stand as human rights activists, we are never alone. There are 56 million people who are slowly beginning to find capacity to protect you. I'm not sure if this is a question, but we have your back.
Thank you so much. We have another question from the second row to my left on this other side. The lady in green, I presume. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Diana Gishengo, and just like Irongo, I have no question. And mine is to say thank you. Thank you very much for your sacrifice, for what you have done for this country. We really thank you. Nadia, erase from your mind, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong in all the posts you did and what you did on the street. We celebrate you, we honor you. I think in addition to having their back, can we all pledge that the torture they went through, in addition to the people who have lost their lives, the firing of cabinet is not enough, is it? For patriots to have sat in a toilet because they demanded good governance, Parliament must go. For all the wrong investments in military guns to silence us, we need a new budget. Not the one that he's referring to. We need a new budget. And finally, if the president could not apologize for this, he said they were fake. Look at these people. They are here, we can see them. Does he deserve to be our president? No. Ruto must? No. Thank you.
Thank you for those opinions. Any other round of questions? Okay.
People power. People power. People power. Thank you very much. My name is Brian Okeja. Actually, we really don't even need to ask questions. We need to speak our hearts here. What we are dealing with in this country is a kleptomaniac bunch of bones and muscles. That is what we are dealing with in this country. We are dealing with a government that has a massive disdain for rule of law. I can tell you there are just a few of us, but so many people suffered. Myself, I was hit by a canister. I lost balance. I almost broke my knee. I was clobbered on the back by a rungu. I was washed with that pink water. Iliniwashadi makende. What they have done, that they have arrested our people, they have tortured us, they have killed us. But what they don't know is this, that when we made the decision to come out of our houses, we knew that the fight for democracy is very expensive. And we are ready to pay the ultimate price. We knew that we would either come back home safe or not come back at all. But that will not deter us from anything. We will continue. They can kill us, but they cannot kill this movement. They can torture us, but they cannot kill this liberation. They can kill us. The worst thing that they can ever do to us is to kill this bunch of bones and muscles. This is a body, but they can never touch our soul. We will die and we will reincarnate. We will come back and be born in this same country. We are not going to accept any nonsense. And what we are saying is this, that as the youth of this nation, as the Gen Zs, our allegiance, our obeisance, our loyalty and fidelity is to the flag of this nation, is the flag of Kenya, and to no one else and to nothing else. People power. Say with me, I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Before we continue, I'd like to invite Rocha Madza, who is the student president, to just give his comments. The mic is there, please, if you could. The mic is there, please. Thank you.
Comrades power, comrades power, comrades Tibim, comrades Ria, comrades Ria. I'd first like to take this chance to thank the organizers for this event, and I'm very honored. And if I may recount on what we underwent when we were going for the demonstrations, we were rallying ourselves through the main campus, where we were able to organize ourselves and get some masks and water. And what we were mainly agitating for as students, apart from the finance bill, is mainly the new funding model, which has been really affecting us. And even as the president has dissolved his cabinet, we are still saying there is more to be done. Am I wrong, comrades? Because as we are sitting right now, we can't afford school fees as students. And what we're calling for the president to do is he dissolves and he abolishes the new funding model, which is really affecting the needy. Because if education is an equalizer, then why then should we segregate, and why then should we group students based on how financially they are? Because as we are speaking, the first years in medicine school who are paying 612,000 shillings, half of them have deferred from their class because they're expected to pay 30% of that, which is about 200,000 shillings. So where I come from Kwale, that is in Zombo. My parents, maybe they sell mangoes to earn a living, so they really can't afford these school fees, and we are killing their dreams. So as we are here, let us also agitate for that in the X and other avenues, that we still need change, and this is the right time. And I'd urge all of us, let's not kill the movement, because the country is still in shambles. and we can't say we have won yet. Much has to be done, and mine is to urge all the comrades that we'll do this until we get to where we are, because this is our nation and we must fight for our justice. And for all those who are affected, we have been praying for you, and I'm sure everything will be well. And for all those few remarks, let me thank you for organizing the event. Have a lovely day. Na safari ni ya Ikulu, na we reject the new funding model. Comrades power! Comrades power! We want free education because it's a basic need for all of us. Amani wongo. Yes, so thank you na mbarikiwe sana.
Thank you so much, Rocha, for those comments. Please reserve your comments and your questions. Of course, the engagement and discussions are still ongoing. At this point, I'd like to begin with Nadia. What are your closing remarks? And perhaps the leaders that are watching you today, what is your message to them?
We owe it to ourselves and to our fallen comrades to see this thing through to the end. This movement is not about one person, it is not about two people, it is about all of us collectively. We need systems that work. We need a country that works for all of us, not just a select few. So, yeah, they can maim us, they can injure us, they can murder us, but they cannot stop this movement.
Billy, on your end, your closing remarks to those that are watching, what are you telling them, especially the policy makers, those that are in charge?
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for all the noises that you made while you were abducted. So, and all I can say is that together we are powerful. The noises that we are making behind our keyboards, behind our phones, they are very powerful, and we are seeing the effects, like they are working. So all I can tell all the comrades, don't give up. This thing is working. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Ernest, from your end, your closing remarks and the calls continues, and perhaps what is the way forward from your end?
I think there is a defiance that comes with knowing that you are doing what is right and knowing that you are fighting and standing for something. Standing at that door after it opened, seeing 8 men armed with military-grade weapons, the fear went out of me because I knew I had done nothing wrong and I knew there was nothing I could do. I was helpless, but I was sure that if that was the end, it was for doing nothing wrong. We, the people of Kenya, will continue to do what is right. We will continue to fight for what we deserve, and we will continue to use our brains because our ingenuity is what sets us apart from those who have fought before us. We will not just come at you in the streets. We will use our brains. We will fight you in courts. We will use technology. We will stop you from making this country move in the right direction by whatever means available to us. We are the smartest, we are the strongest, we are the best this country has to offer. Na tutashuka na watu.
Thank you so much, Ernest, for those remarks. Please, let's give them a round of applause. It's not easy, and we wish you well, even as you get the psychological help that you need to get yourself through the next phases of your life. At this point, I'd like to call Giuliani as we take a very short breather, and then we will continue with our conversation. So keep your questions there. We will get to them. So at this point, we are going to just take a breather and then invite Giuliani on the stage. Thank you so much.
May our children rest in peace. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
waiting for Mandela. My people.
Umoja ni fahari yetu, undugu ndio nguvu, chuki na ukabila hatutaki hata kamwe, lazima tuungane.
To have Juliani on stage. Karibu sana Juliani. Let's be upstanding, please.
Niaje. Ngupoa. Niaje. Mbona mmesimama ama mko maandamano? So allow me to do this, for everybody that we have lost. Nataka msisikie sauti, msikie maneno, sawa? Sawa? Sawa, sema hatuko nawe. They took you away. La 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 salama. Sema hatuko nawe. They took you away. La 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 salama. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. Tapatana machozi ya jana. Inauma hii side ya left ya chest. Naomba boxes zingine za handkerchief. Machozi ligeuza matope penye ume rest. Hii si WhatsApp group, unaweza rudi ukileft. Waliwakata mabawa, usifly again. Clouds ni grey, nguo ni white, nguo ni black, macho ni red, colors za pain. It takes a long day kujua life ni short. Life haina remote, unaweza fast forward ama rewind to a happier episode. Machozi ya jana haigandi, tunapanguza na furaha ya justice. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. La 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 salama. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. Tapatana machozi ya jana. Nilijaribu kujiconvince huku juu. Mapenzi ya Mungu, ukweli ni roza statue ndani ya watu. Sababu seriousness ya poisonous snake, tusipuuze ka cuteness ya pet. Kwa mkono mngekimbilia ndio muliangamia, amkunuia mlo waliwaandalia. Sauti ya glass ya champagne ikigonga cheers, impunity ikicelebrate. Itatizwe na sauti ya nyundo kwa court wakiface judgment. Iwe funzo kwa wenye tabia kama hiyo, mwizi wa uhai hukumu isiwe kuchunwa sikio. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. La 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 salama. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. Tapatana machozi ya jana. Ewe Mungu wajua njia zangu yatengeze, yale siwezi yasongeze. Wewe ndiye nguvu ya wanyonge. Ewe Mungu wajua njia zangu yatengeze, yale siwezi yasongeze. Wewe ndiye nguvu ya wanyonge. Hatuko nawe. They took you away. La 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 salama. tuko na wewe, they took you away. Tapatana machozi ya jana. Mungu abariki, asante man. Mnisede kuimba isawa? Shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufaana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Hatuget wadhifa, una deserve bila kachama kashfa. Hii society Kenya wanaeza share ni nyungu ya busa ama keto la shisha. Mfuko unasikia eko, unajua thamani ya mali na size ya kifuli. Eyo, ujaibiwa jua unakaa kitu. What? Risking jail time, police bullets for. Unaweza argue crime doesn't pay, lakini wezi dismiss justice ina pay. Mwizi ana 40 days, 365 days later anaendelea kugrow fatter. Do anything for power, ready to lose their head for presidency. Bora waione kwa currency. Sababu gani siko affected na turbulence? Flanga ni nimezo the same feeling. Matatu zikipitia portal mtaani. Julian, yeah, nisaidie. Gala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi sura, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufana. Sitasimama DJ wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi, kwani ulidhani 50 bob leso t-shirt siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5-year loan investment, utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, ama ni we are one. Utumishi kwa wote, utu missing, CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy. Usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando zina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na suruke ka front page na improve leadership. Ambia sawa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry, walikula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya, mpaka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. Niko njaa hata si owe hae shagala bagala. Niko tayari kulipa gharama. Sitasimama maovu. Ala, sitasimama maovu. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura, hataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufana. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Mungu awabariki, au sio? Nataka tu since niko na mic, acha tu nige mbele hapa, si ndio? Nataka tu mseme kama sisi, sawa? Si ndio? Kutabadilishana nani kama? 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 Mungu awabariki, au sio? Alafu, it's my pleasure to introduce the one and only, the President LSK, the amazing Faith Odhiambo wewe. Hey, swag nini? Igwe.
Thank you.
Chuki na ukabila hatutaki hata kamwe, lazima tuungane, tuijenge nchi yetu, pasiwe hata mmoja anayetenganisha. Naishi na tumaini na jitolea daima Kenya, hakika ya bendera ili uthabiti wangu leupe la nchi na nyekundu ni ya damu, ni jani ni ya ardhi, leupe ya amani daima. Mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo.
Before I speak, first of all, it gives me great courage and enthusiasm to see all who have made their way here today. God bless Kenya. Allow me to first invite some of our partners who are here to stand here and just introduce themselves, who have made this possible. Please, our various partners, make your way here. Then, before I speak, I'll invite the Law Society of Kenya, Nairobi chairperson, Eric Kivuva, to also say a word.
That's a big job.
Comrades Power! On behalf of the movement, Amnesty International, we salute your courage, we salute your constitutionalism and your fidelity to the rule of law. What we saw was a breakdown in the rule of law. We saw the abuse of state power, and it is this movement that has corrected this moment for the nation and for the world. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Irungo Houghton, Executive Director, Amnesty International.
Viva, comrades, viva. More power to the people, more power. Down with police killings, down. Down with police brutality, down. Down with corruption, down. Down with Ruto, down. My name is Happy Olal, the convener, Social Justice Centers Working Group. Tuko hapa, Ruto must go. Thank you.
Some of you will be falling over if you don't sit down. Please take your seats. So I've been asked to also just to acknowledge some of the other people that have helped to put this together. This is a collective effort. There are many organizations that are on the poster, and there are many others that didn't get onto the poster but were in support. Let me acknowledge the International Commission of Jurists, Kenya Section, the Independent Medical Legal Unit, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, a state agency committed to human rights. And to be honest, that is all they have been doing in the last 4 weeks. To the Defenders Coalition, who have protected and supported many of you here and many others. And also lastly, to Happy Olal, but also to the movement of social justice centers that were organizing all over the country to protect the protester. Thank you.
Comrades, power! Comrades, power! Power to the people! My name is Eric Kakemu Kivuva. I serve you as the LSK chair, Nairobi branch. And I am truly delighted today to be part of this gathering that I can only describe as a gathering of patriots, because for me, we have been brought together by the unfortunate events happening in our country, but maybe not so fortunate, because for the first time since independence, we will for once describe the country we want for us. We will for once describe the kind of leadership we want for this country. We will for once reset and even describe who a patriot is, because what has been happening is elections in this country has sanitized the worst of criminals, and we call them waheshimiwa. I am so delighted today. 13 years ago, this gentleman, Mr. Julius Owino, aka Giuliani, sang a song called Bahasha ya Ocampo. I don't know kama we remember that song. Niliponea bahasha ya Ocampo, oh, lakini kile naogopa hata zaidi, finger of God ikini point, yule. And I think 13 years later, his prophecy is coming to pass. Walioponea bahasha ya Ocampo, the finger of God has caught up with them. It is now pointing them out and calling them out. But more importantly, we the people should not be an empty rhetoric. It should be that which we live as Kenyans. And in the first verse of that song, Giuliani makes the statement, ndio ujue vitu ziko wrong, pedestrians wanapisha gari kwa zebra crossing kupita. That is the country we've had for the last 13 years, for the last 60 years. But we, the people, must describe the kind of country we want and tell ourselves we will live in a country where the rule of law is supreme and we are all faithful to the rule of law. And fellow patriots, it starts with all of us being considerate to obey the list of things, including giving regard to a zebra crossing, including giving regard to traffic lights. If that is the country we want, we must be part of that change. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly delighted and even more privileged because I know Madam President will be giving her keynote address, especially on the subject of we, the people. Thank you very much. God bless Kenya. God bless the movement. May we, patriots, keep at it and never relent in seeking for a better country. Thank you. Just before Madam President speaks, I have been informed that those who wish to register their complaints, the desk is just outside there on the left. Madam President, Faith Odhiambo, karibu sana.
Comrades, power. Power. I'm not feeling that power. Comrades, power. Power. Viva. Viva. Viva Kenya, viva. Viva. Protect our Constitution. Viva!
Viva!
My fellow Kenyans, comrades, and colleagues, for decades our country has faced endless spate of unresolved extrajudicial killings associated with political spectrum. I remember Law Society was involved in collecting evidence for the last Mandamano killings. To date, we are still demanding from IPOA, why haven't you tabled that report? Why haven't you held those policemen accountable? Why is the Inspector General of Police still sitting on that chair? We all know about the controversial death of Pio Gama Pinto in February 24th, 1965. Very few will remember January 29th, 1969, where Agwins Kodek, a pioneering Mau Mau lawyer, died in a car crash under mysterious circumstances. The families of Pinto and Agwins have never known justice, and the same fate befell Thomas Joseph Adhiambo Mboya on July 5th, 1969. Have we forgotten J.M. Kariuki on March 2nd, 1975? Where is the truth about Bruce Roy Mackenzie's death on May 24th, 1979? We are here today to stand for justice for victims. We do not want to leave any man behind. The stories of those who came before us, the different regimes, the different decades, are testament that when political stars and fights come to an end, their bodies that are littered in the bodies that are left for our kin to deal with. Yet no one knows justice. No one sees justice for those victims. I would go on until the cows come home. And you will all see that each regime in this country has had its fair share of assassinations in an attempt to eliminate persons perceived to be standing for something that the political class do not want. Killing of innocent Kenyans on the streets started with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta on the dark Saturday of October 25th in 1969, when Jomo's visit to Kisumu turned bloody. We all know how many Kenyans died during the struggle for multi-party democracy under Moi's 24-year rule. Abductions, torture, and painful deaths did not start with this regime. The police have merely inherited the vice from generation to generation. And we are saying, does it stop in this generation? Yes. Does it stop in this generation? Yes. It must end in this generation. No more abductions, no more extrajudicial killings. President Mwai Kibaki presided over the worst tide of killings. We cannot forget about the 2007-2008 post-election violence. And we do not ever want to go back there. Uhuru Kenyatta too was no different, because every year the local newspapers reported how many people disappeared mysteriously in the hands of law enforcement agencies. And just when we thought there was a new dawn in this country, new hope, a country where the head of state was brought in the mantra for the young people, a youthful leader, we have seen police disappointing this hope. And we are demanding from the head of state that his promise that there will be no extrajudicial killings in his tenure, in his reign, that he may hold truth to that. At least if for nothing else, let people not die for standing for their beliefs. Let people not be abducted for standing for what they believe is right. And we are still demanding from him to ensure that all those who have been involved are arrested and prosecuted before our courts of law. The civil societies are struggling to put together the data of injured people, both from gunshots, crude weapons, and attempts to follow up on missing persons. We know that there are families that are still reeling in pain and anguish, and yet we want to move forward. We want to move forward, but we want to move forward with justice for everyone. These families should not be struggling with paying medical bills, struggling with fundraising to bury their kin. Yet we have a state, we have a nation that the head of state has committed that they will be held accountable for each and every death. for each and every person who have been injured. I've visited people at Kenyatta National Hospital. Young men and women like you who now will never walk again, they have lost their hands. Where do they start? We cannot move on and forget them. For a nation to grow, we must move on together. And that is what we, the Law Society of Kenya, and coalition of all our partners here today are standing for. We want justice for each and every one of our members in this great country. Fellow Kenyans, today we want us to begin a journey of truth and justice. Today we walk back the hands of time towards tracing the whereabouts of our missing brothers and sisters. Walk with me as we seek justice for our fallen heroes of the leaderless revolution. We are going to ensure that we give our family the hope to wake up every morning knowing that their son or daughter whose remains are buried in graves spread throughout this country are not in vain. To that mother, to that aunt, to that sister, to that father, to that brother looking for their loved ones, please come to us. We have created a network of social and civil rights defenders working together to unravel these mysteries. Let this be the last time that Kenyans will take to the streets in peace, only for trigger-happy policemen to flood the same streets with their blood and walk scot-free. The plan is to set camp at almost every county that experienced police brutality during our protests. I want to raise my greatest appreciation for my different branch chairs all around the country that mobilized their members upon my request and call to go out to the different police stations all around the country. That is why we've been able to make a mark. Each and every one of my branch chairs, my council members, and every lawyer who heeded my request and call are the heroes that I can sing proudly from the Law Society side, coming to defend the rights of Kenyans and fighting against any trumped-up charges, those who have been kept beyond the required period in prisons, and trying to ensure the safety and freedom of all Kenyans who had been arrested. There are so many people out there living in pain inflicted by the police. It could be mental health or just desolation. Please come out. Let our experienced team of experts offer psychosocial support to help you heal. Today we begin here at the historic Ufungamano House. We are coming to you all around the country. The Law Society of Kenya, together with all our partners here, have membership across the country, and with the support of our various branches and offices, have remained zealous and steadfast at protecting the Constitution. If we work together in this, then our defenseless families will not shed tears in vain. As a mother and a lawyer, I stand here today with a heavy heart of what we have seen the last few weeks. The numerous calls that I've received, those in distress, even at very wee hours of the morning. It shows to you the waning strength of so many members of the public. Though in fear, some struggling, some in despair, but yet our young generation are still coming out strongly and firmly, affirming that we are standing for accountability, transparency, we are fighting corruption. We want to see a positive change in our government. Those who have been coming out are loyal patriots of this country. They are standing to see a change. They are the same James Orengos and amongst others who came to fight for multi-party democracy. This is a fight against corruption, a fight for accountability, a fight for transparency, which we must embrace as a nation to move forward together. Even in commemorating those of us who are no longer among us, it would be remiss of me not to appreciate each and every one of your zealous, ingenious, persistent, and unified sacrifice for our country. You are ridiculed, underestimated, threatened, and vilified, all in an attempt to break your resolve to reclaim your country. Through it all, you remained peaceful and focused on the noble objective of standing for what is right and what you deserve. Your courage is unparalleled, your patriotism unchallenged, and your unity against all political barriers unprecedented. You are exactly what you think you are. You are the heroes of today. The irrefutable gains of what you people stand for shines a bright ray of hope upon the future of our country. If you do not believe it yet, allow me to confirm to you that you people have achieved what many dreamed of and wished for, but few realized. A weak and unreliable parliament betrayed you, the people who they swore to represent you. Mlianguka now. A punitive tax regime was forced down the throats of Kenyans despite public outcry against the repressive finance bill. Mlianguka nayo. The political elite unified to run Kenya down the rabbit hole of treachery and deceit to deviate you from your resolve to bring change to Kenya. Namely, an ineffective, incompetent, and arrogant cabinet represented impunity and refused to work for the people from whom the power they exercised. And once again, today marks a crucial step in our progressive journey towards real sustainable change for our country. This is the onset of a series of deliberations by sovereign citizens of Kenya to reflect on who, where, and what we are as a country. The preamble to our constitution defines who we are. Article 10 prescribes what we ought to be, and the entirety of our constitution in its brilliant magnificence envisions where we ought to be as a nation. However, time without number, those to whom we have bestowed power and trust to deliver to us the dream of Katiba 2010 have failed us. Tumewapatia lakini wamekataa kuperform. Kenya finds itself in a constitutional moment, one where the people have reclaimed their sovereignty and are ready to rid of any individual, institution, or entity that jeopardizes the well-being of the country and defies constitutional principles. What started as demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024 has spun into a domino effect that gives us an opportunity for change that is ours to lose. Shida zetu zikianguka bado, lazima zimeingia one lege. It is thanks to this realization that the Law Society of Kenya, all our partners and stakeholders have taken the obvious step to join all of you in forging the path on which we want our country set. Thank you for embracing us. Thank you for allowing us to stand with you, and thank you for allowing us to be part of you. My speech was quite long, but I wanted to also highlight that we have seen changes in the Police Service Commission. We have seen so many And refusal to cooperate are in no way, shape, form, or fashion unacceptable excuse. The people are with you, they will support you, they will help you finish the job, but only if you start doing it and doing it well. Na hata nyinyi mkikataa, Wakenya mtafanya nini? Lastly, to the political leadership and elected representatives. There is no honor higher than being chosen by the people to serve your country. That honor requires delicate, deliberate, impartial, and accountable exercise of that authority that is donated to you. Hubris and bravado are vices that have no place in the Kenya of today. The people of Kenya awake to their full authority as the true sovereign, and their realization of the beauty of their unity draws the curtains on divisive ethnic politics that has historically been endemic in this Kenyan's politics. It's time to become leaders, not rulers. It is time to represent and serve the people, not to be demigods desperate for constant praise and worship. It is time to act, not making unyielding promises. Henceforth, contempt for the people will neither go unnoticed nor remain unresolved. Gen Z wame? Hii ni tofauti. Gen Z wamegotha? We will not believe, you will not believe. From the Law Society of Kenya and all our partners, we make our solemn understanding that what we have done over the last few weeks have been fueled by the strength we have drawn from your courage. For as long as you stand for what you believe is just, fair, and right before the law, we will stand for you and will fight for you. Join me in this final prayer, the prayer for our forefathers, the prayer of our nation. We say the first stanza of our national anthem in English. O God of all creation, bless this, our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. I pray that God bless you and God bless Kenya. Really? Come, you guys come. Come. Steve.
I hope all our heads will fit inside. Let me come on this side. Let me come on the other side of it. Will we all fit? Tunarudia chini ama we are here now?
Were we going back down?
Do we go back or stay?
Oh, I think you guys are finished.
Where's the next panel here?
Yeah. Wacha tuende, watatuita in case they need us.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Well done for this. One of the last 3 days.
Hari?
Wapi bado?
All right, okay. Thank you very much to everyone. Really appreciate
Just stand by.
President, perhaps the best president this country has ever seen. A better round of applause for Madam President, please. And absolutely, really great, the comments and seeing what we have to do today. I'd like to call us back to attention because we have a lot to cover today. My name is James Smart. Allow me to welcome all of you again for the second panel. On this second panel, we have Dr. Willie Mutunga, who's joining us on X Space, the famous X Space. All right, let's listen to Dr. Lee William Chunga, former retired Chief Justice. All right, Dr. CJ, please give us your comments.
Gen Z and millennials, thank you very much for what you are doing. There is, I'm in Kabarak actually, and there is a joke going around here, which I think I should tell you. Apparently, the president is going around looking for a general called General Z. This reminds me of Idi Amin going to the central bank looking for one of the workers who was called foreign exchange, who was never around in Uganda, and they wanted to kill him. So my comment, there are two comments that I want to make, and I've made them in other spaces. One is that what happened the other day, and I think this has been discussed, so I'm just reinforcing what we have always said for a long time, that the factions that rule Kenya cannot be described you have started a revolution. There's no doubt about that. And we wait and, we hope that you continue your political demands to emphasize, the concerns of your material interests and needs, education, health, jobs, struggles against foreign domination, housing, everything that is important for your existence. You posters have captured those particular issues in a revolutionary manner. I've loved the cause or the clarion cause, which you have called occupations. Even the occupation of IMF, and the World Bank, making that connection between our rulers and our external rulers is very, very, very important if we are going to carry on this revolution to its successful change. So I also want to praise you for breathing life into the Constitution. We have a Constitution that, is fairly progressive, but we gave it to, leaders who find it inconvenient and they don't want to implement it. But you've come to the scene and you're basically saying that you want to exercise our sovereign power directly, and I think that's what is reflected in the various calls for occupations, whether it's the occupation of parliament, occupation of state house, occupation of I guess, the judiciary and all the institutions. So these are great clarion calls. And so I just want to finish by again glorifying what you're doing and asking you to keep your eyes on the prize, avoid divisions, because the people you are dealing with or the class you are dealing with, you should never underestimate them. They are geniuses in politics of division, ethnicity, religion, and if that doesn't work, they also got plenty of money to, to stop this particular movement. So thank you very much. Aluta continua, and victory is certain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, retired Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga. They are giving us his thoughts. Let's get straight into it and introduce my panel for what we need to do next. Hussein Khalid, please join me on the stage. Irungi Houghton as well, join me on the stage. And Gloria Kimani of LSK Council member also join me on the stage. A round of applause, please, as they join me on stage. So for this panel, what we'd like to do is we want to capture reflections of what has happened in these last 4 weeks. There's been reported police excesses, there's been disappearance, abductions, illegal arrests, killings, injuries, and that sort of thing. And we haven't spent time as a country to capture exactly what has happened. What does that mean? In essence, are we saying that protesting is an illegal thing in this country? And if it's not, why did we see the reactions that we saw? Let me start with you, Hussein Khalid.
Thank you very much, Smart. And let me first of all congratulate everyone and the entire country. Comrades power! Comrades power! We are doing it, we are changing this country, and moving forward, things will never be the same. So I'll just speak briefly about my experiences on the ground as, a person who has been, visiting families, visiting the sick in hospital. I think there have been gross human rights violations in the last couple of weeks. Many families have suffered, continue to suffer. We have an entire ward at the Kenyatta National Hospital of victims of police excesses, and that's just one hospital. We have many other hospitals in different parts, not just of Nairobi, but of the entire country that have people who are sick. Up to now, we are still trying to understand the magnitude of the violations that have been meted out on Kenyans. I think in the midst of everything, we get, taken up by the success, the dismissal of the cabinet, the withdrawal of the finance bill, and we forget to remember that people have paid with their lives and limbs for us to be where we are today, and they must never be forgotten. In a number of instances, some were even, approached. I remember we were at the burial of David Chege, and the police officers were there. And we had just gone there to drape the coffin with the flag and to give another flag to the family. And the propaganda that was going around was that this is supposed to be for the KDF only, this, the flagging of the coffins and everything. And they were told that if you bury your person with the flag, the government will later come, to exhume and get the flag. So there are things that are being said out there that are completely out of line. And I think it's important for us, and we were discussing, to remind Kenyans that this is an opportunity. We are supposed to be extremely lucky and, honored to be living in these times. Because no other generation, this moment has never been there. So what we need to do is to continue encouraging each other and pushing each other forward. I think it was Kindiki who said that, the financiers, fellow criminals, power! power. Fellow criminals, power. And I remember they were threatening us, I don't know who, the financiers, the organizers, the planners, you will face the consequences. Well, guess what? Hatutishiki, sindio? Na ni nani ameanguka? Sini wao wameanguka. So we are saying, this is a moment, and each and every one of us can play a role. The question that we need to ask, what are you doing to bring forward this change?
Okay, Hussein, I'd like to come back to you shortly, but I want to get to Gloria first on the question of the flags and the killings and those who lost the limbs. But Gloria, on the question of people getting arrested for protesting, I remember seeing the first day or the Tuesday, droves and droves of people getting picked up and being put, in police vehicles, carted away to police stations. I want to talk to me about this moment, about what does that moment mean legally, and what was the violation with that moment, and why do we keep seeing it?
Thank you so much, Alan, for that. And I would like to say that the Law Society of Kenya has, that day, it was a sad day for us, because that Tuesday, what happened was we had gone for a memorial for Honorable Monica, who was killed in the hands of the police. And we were called and we were told, we even had not set up the toll-free line for people to call advocates, and we were called that there are some advocates who have been arrested and they're in Central Police Station. And we asked ourselves the pertinent question. That time I remember we were with Steve and Tess, and we asked ourselves the question, why are we going to release only lawyers while people who have been peacefully demonstrating have been arrested? And I think we had a discussion with the president, and she said, yes, let's go bail them out. And I remember when going there, we didn't expect what we saw on that day. So we went to the police station, and we actually asked to be given the list of the people who have been arrested and their charges. And I remember it was a back and forth, and now lawyers from certain groups were called, come, let's release these people. And actually, when they saw lawyers there, they saw us as a threat, because we are going to release the people who have been causing trouble, quote-unquote trouble to them. So when we went there, we tried talking, they tried calling the president and saying, just tell your people to go till 6 p.m. And we asked them, why till 6 p.m.? Has the law been suspended till 6 p.m. that we can only release people after 6 p.m.? And when we demanded to stay with the people who have been arrested in the police station, they threw tear gas at us. I remember even one of our council members, Otto, they threw a canister, the tear gas canister, at her. So the lawyers have been really harassed in this whole process. We saw even the other day in Nanyuki, where they had gone to actually take, because this guy, I think Lewis, they were looking for Lewis, and they were harassing him, going to his home, banging his door. And they decided, okay, let's take him to the police station. And when they went, they were all chased away. Lawyers were chased away, and they were told, no, we want to speak to Lewis alone. And they said no. And it became a commotion. And they started beating the lawyers and chasing them out of the police station. So what does it mean? It is very lawful, especially for what had been happening in the first times of the demonstration, where people were coming out peacefully. They are just with their water bottles, they are just singing, chanting, and they were not causing any kind of fracas. And I think the government had not seen such kind of a thing. They thought everything will be organized, will be uniform, but when they saw large numbers coming, and they were wondering, how can we contain these numbers? Because they thought it will just be like the normal ones, and by 2 p.m. they're at home, or 3 they're at home. So I think we need to defend the Constitution, and we are saying peaceful protesters, and that is the case we have seen all through. Peaceful protesters are being arrested, and that is what we are standing for, that you cannot just be arrested for exercising your right.
Right.
Yeah.
Irungu, to keep up on this space, the police not only threw tear gas, but they were shooting live ammunition, rubber bullets, beating up protesters. But most importantly, we also saw police without uniform, completely face covered up, somehow mingling with the protesters, and the rest shoot and perhaps some of those abductions happen in these moments. I want to ask you about what should the police be doing during protests, and what we just went through, just how illegal this all is, and what can we do anything about it, or it's just a matter of, well, we reflect and then you say, well, that something bad has really happened, we need to move on.
So the illegalities in terms of policing that we saw over the last month or so did not start then. I think we have to go back to 2023, we have to go back to 2017, and we have to ask, why is it in a point where the state is being challenged on the basis of corruption, on the basis of inequality, on the basis of impunity? Why does the state respond so violently to peaceful protest? And as Amnesty International, we monitored with the Kenya Medical Association and Law Society, and of course many organizations here under the auspices of the Police Reforms Working Group. And we saw the pattern of policing essentially was to destroy the possibility of a peaceful protest. How that starts is commanding officers failing to accept letters of notification. The second thing that happens is you arrest anybody you suspect to be an organizer. Now, what is a protest organizer? A protest organizer is also a marshal. It is the person who makes sure that when we write a letter to the OCS and we say, we are going to move from this point to this point, we are going to approach this government office, and we are going to hand over a petition here. That is the person that controls the crowds. So once you take those two quick actions, you immediately send a protest into confusion. And we have said this so many times to commanding officers, to the more senior police officers, that as soon as you disrupt that process, you have thrown a peaceful protest into something that is not provided for within Article 37. The second stage is to have police officers coming like criminals, either in balaclavas or without identification, or with vehicles that have 4 or 5 license plates, and they embed themselves. They pretend to be protesters in order to arrest protesters, or they pretend to be journalists in order to arrest journalists, or they tear gas medical officers. This is what we saw this time, where we set up pop-up emergency clinics, essentially for medics, volunteers, not even paid by government, to basically provide treatment, not just to protesters, but to bystanders and also police officers, let's not forget. And what happens is you tear gas them, you arrest people like Brandon, you then seize their medical records so that they can't even follow up with patients. And then the question is, for me, is actually who is behaving as if this is a riot? Who is providing the riotous activity? Who are the criminals that need to be prosecuted? So to end this point, I think there are many things that we need to do. We need to crowdsource, identify those officers. We need to bring cases against those particular officers individually, plus their commanding officers, to ensure that they are held accountable, not just for the deaths, not just for the injuries that Hussein has spoken about, but even for the violation of the right to protest and the right to expression. The previous panel spoke about the horror of having people coming to collect them in the middle of the night. That also needs to be prosecuted, because the freedom of expression is what makes us human beings. It is not just that the Constitution protects it, but you are not a human being if you cannot think independently, if you cannot articulate yourself, and if you cannot take action in order to protect a Constitution that we all voted for.
Okay, right. So I want to go back to the point about, and we sort of systematically talk about not just the people, but the role of the flag, as you had brought it up. And my question is this: who owns the Kenyan flag?
Hiyo ni swali rahisi sana. Kenyan flag belongs to the people of Kenya. It's not a government item. It's ours. When you talk of black, it's us. It's the color of our skin. When you talk of red, it's the blood shed. And we continue to shed to this moment, to this very day. And green is our land, you know? So, I mean, I find it absurd for anyone to even imagine or to tell us that you can't do this. This is a preserve of a few individuals, only the leaders. These are today's Mau-Maus. When you are Mekufa, we are seated here today having this conversation here at Fungamano in their honor, because they died so that we can be here today. And one thing I want to communicate is that even with the families that we have been going to, you know, you can see that that resolve and that pride that they have. When you go there with the flag and you're draping the flag over the coffin, and they say, wow, our son did not die for nothing. He didn't just die like that. He died truly fighting for this country. And when you go to the family, when you're handing over the flag, you can actually feel, everyone there holding the mother, the father, the family in pride. So, wasitutishe hiyo tunawaambia, anyone we need to hang. In other countries, people hang these flowers in their backyards. They are there on their doors. And here we are being told that if you display the flag or if you put it, it's an offense. My foot, we can't have that. Wasitutishie, this is our country, and that is why we need to reclaim. For me, I'm a grassroots person. I'm not much of a talker. But everyone, this is the time. Hakuna kitu yenye hatuwezi fanya. Hata kama kila mtu anataka ice cream, sasa tunaenda tunaambia serikali hiyo tax, nunulia kila mtu ice cream. You can't tell us anything. So not just the flag, everything, even the emblem. Ukitaka kuvaa kofia uweke nini, it is yours. So hiyo mambo ya kutishana, that fear is gone. When we lose our fear, thank you very much.
Gloria, same question. What is this problem with flag, and why do we have this sense of belief, and especially the security forces and the guys who run government, that they own this item, exclusively theirs?
Sorry?
They think they own this item. It's a government product.
One, we need to remember it's a symbol of this country. And if it was illegal, I think I'll be the first one in this place, Kushikwa.
Some illegalities
I have used it, yes, I have used it as a lesson, but not necessarily, but showing my patriotism to this country. We walk around with the bracelets, the Kenyan bracelets, but it has never been a problem. Everyone in the UK, you can identify a Kenyan from one when you just see that bracelet. But right now, when we are using it at this time, it becomes a problem. Then I think we are not the problem. They are the problem, and I think they should deal with it. And this is just speaking because we see people putting the flags on their cars. Right now, they're even ashamed of putting those flags in their cars because we will flag them that tutaanguka now. So I think it is not a problem right now. And carrying your flag is patriotism. They did it very proudly, and now we are the ones saying we, the people, are taking it proudly, and we are carrying our flags, and let them know that we have the power in our hands. And I think one of them, the symbol, is our flag.
Irungu, same question, and I will come to the audience to get some reactions to it, and also we are doing this on Space and live on NTV as well, so we'll go to that to get your comments, and this is our conversation of the same question really about this piece of item, the flag.
Let me step back and then come back to the flag. So in a crisis, all nations have three choices. The first is to twist towards constitutionalism, the second is to twist towards authoritarianism, and then the third choice is anarchy. Now, what this movement has done has twisted towards constitutionalism. In constitutionalism, there are things that are non-negotiable. One of the non-negotiables is the Constitution, that all our actions, all our thoughts are captured in that place that we call a Bill of Rights. And it is clear to me when I saw those crowds marching with constitutions and police officers without a single constitution among them, but with batons, I began to see the righteousness of what was happening on our streets. Consider that in a context where the state wants to disenfranchise you, the first thing it will do is it will tell you there are certain symbols of patriotism, of nationhood that do not belong to you. The flag does not belong to you. It is okay if you don't take a voter's card, or you lose your ID and don't bother to get another one, or you don't volunteer in a school clinic, in a school nearby you, or you do not volunteer in a clinic to oversee a public resource that keeps our people safe and dignified, or you don't volunteer at all. That is what a state tries to do, to remove that section in the Constitution that has expressed itself so loud in the last 3 weeks, and that is Article 1. If you do not seize this moment, not just as I think it was the president who spoke about this. If we do not seek this moment, if we do not grab this moment as a moment for the third liberation, then we are going to squander this moment more generally. So I would say to those cabinet secretaries that are waiting, that are lobbying, and perhaps if they follow the same route that they took in 2027 and 22, that are beginning to put money together to buy a cabinet secretary seat, if they do not come with new ways of working, then consider they have come to reap where they did not sow. And they are coming essentially not to build on this constitutional movement, but to take us back to a place that we did not want to do. So wear your flag. If necessary, have a flag, have an outfit made from the flag, and let's walk around with underwear, trousers, t-shirts, and jackets.
Okay, great. Let's get a reaction from space. I think Masika is online. Masika, could you tell us what your reflections of this protest were? And then I will come to the audience here to get their reflections as well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. I hope I'm audible enough.
You're great.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that we are having the Citizen Assembly, and one of the key things that we note clearly is that things have changed, times have changed. We are no longer in the olden days. I was listening that bit on the police and the police upholding the law. And maybe one of the things that the LSK can be helping us to know, because I think the police are enforcing the law, but they don't know the law. Because when you ask a police officer why they are arresting you, some of them clearly do not know even the procedure of arresting, whether you're a criminal or a suspect or something like that. Do they have it in their curriculum? Because these guys go in the training camps to do martial arts, to do work on how to use batons to beat up people. But when you ask a police officer to uphold the law when they are arresting you, do they have the knowledge of applying that law? So for me, that has been a question, because the problem with the police begins at the time of recruitment, because you look at even the people that the recruiters are looking for, then you clearly know that is where the rain starts beating us. Me personally, I did very well in O-level, and I wanted to join the police, but I was removed from the line because I was told that I needed to go to university and study. But I needed to become a police officer, whether I started as a serviceman and then later on be promoted, but they refused because of my grade in Form 4. So one of the things that we need to push, even as right now, because our voices are being heard, and this is how it's going to be, can we have anybody, even if I got an A in Form 4 and I want to become a police officer, I be allowed to become a police officer at whatever level I'm beginning, because we have graduates who got A's and they do not have jobs and they're doing border work. So if I got an A and I want to become a police officer, they should allow me to join the forces. Because one of the things that we are battling with is some of the guys that I'm not saying that if you scored less in Form 4, you don't have brains, but clearly most of the people that we meet in the police and they are arresting you, you can clearly tell that they do not even have the ability to engage with you and tell you why they are arresting you. They just come using muscles and power. So one, I think the police do not have the knowledge of the same law they follow only commands that they are given. So when you say you're doing a peaceful demonstration according to Article 37 and you're not destroying any property, is that police officer who is arresting you aware that there's such Article 37 in the Constitution? Because that is where the rain begins beating us. Can we have the law, part of the law trained to the police officers who enforce the law? And then arrest, I want to think, arrest should be done the open, and somebody should be notified, because we are having abductions and the police are picking people from the street and their homes. Can we have, if you arrest me, please allow me to notify my family members that you have arrested me and where are you taking me? So as I finish on that police thing, I think the failure of the police starts at the place where you're recruiting them, and it also continues because of the curriculum they use to train the police officers. And then when I come on the flag thing, the flag is a national symbol.